Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Friday episode, One Good Question, where we answer your questions from Discord. If you want to get involved, it's goodcompany.discord.com. You get exclusives on clothes, a like-minded community, and you also get to interact and ask questions that may be featured here. And today we got the one and only
Jim
Omar
McDonald
Isuf in the house. And this is a pretty straight-up question. We don't got to go too crazy with it, but Jim McD competed in various powerlifting for many, many years. I've competed in powerlifting a little bit, and Omar's dabbled in both the powerlifting, weightlifting, and bodybuilding world for a while now. We're all, sadly, in the OG category of this internet bullshit. But someone asks, would you ever do strongman, compete in it, or share your journey? And I know Omar has stories here.
Man, I talked everyone's ear off in the last podcast, so I feel like just being silent.
It's right. No, you can hit it. So, because you don't have any urge to really step on a powerlifting platform. Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't really want to step on a bodybuilding stage. You're very similar to me in many of these instances where we get like fulfillment from like a bit of the journey and kind of using the barbell as our vessel to everything else that we do. But neither of us are like super turned on by that fact. But you've told me a couple times you're a little bit more into potential strongman world.
So I think the part that would excite me about strongman and competing in it is the dynamic component. So I think what people like about powerlifting is its predictable nature, that if you do X, Y will happen. And
that's what I hate about it.
Right. and so in that scenario, what doesn't attract me for powerlifting, theoretically, if I really dedicated myself for a 6-month block, I could hit PRs across the board. But playing out the different outcomes, I would therefore become very outcome focused. I know what my strength potential is, so it's within a narrow band of possibilities. If I achieve it, I would have a little bit of excitement where it's like, oh, I did it, it's cool. It wouldn't like cement or solidify me as a person, how I view myself or anything, but it would be a nice objective thing that I did. But it's not like if I trained for 6 months or like even a year or 2 years, that then I would hit, 100 more pounds than I'd anticipate. So it's within a narrow band of expectations, and that's okay. Like, and if people want that, I completely understand.
Yeah, they like taking the stairs step by step.
Yeah.
But you and I sometimes want to do a karaoke on that thing, maybe walk backwards, maybe skip a step here and there.
So why do you think, Mike, I love jazz? Is the improvisatory nature. There was a question. So Wayne Shorter was asked one time. They asked him, what is jazz? And he said, it's I dare you. People think it's all about the extensions, the chord. So it is the highest complexity. At its peak of what is music? Melody, harmony, rhythm. There's 3 core components. And there's the harmonic structures that were brought forth by all the greats and so on. But like really, he said, it's I dare you. And it's the willingness to go into that great expanse and try something new, discover more about
freedom
yourself.
Within the form.
Yeah. So I'm like, all that to say, what is interesting about strongman is the fact that every strongman competition is different. The events are different. You don't know really who, because it's smaller, who's going to show up on the day. And because you can't reliably predict, and you wouldn't necessarily, as far as I understand, train for strongman. Let's say you have you find out the meet, it's 5 events. You would never do like what we do with SBD day, where you'll do like, a day where you run through all 3 and you work up to like 90% of what you do. It's like, oh, it's about that.
Yeah.
You couldn't, because a lot of it is strength endurance. You have to do like max effort on the log press, right? Like at 80%, you're 1 rep max for max reps. And then you have to do something else, a stone lift. You can't like reliably predict, especially because you're doing higher repetitions, what your performance will be on that day and who will show up. And even what the equipment will feel like.
Right.
So there's
every log's a bit different. Obviously, every stone's different.
Yep. So it's not predictable. And that makes it exciting. And weightlifting has a little bit of that due to the technical complexity. But the problem with weightlifting is you'd have to dedicate so many years to become proficient at it. And for myself, I'd say because I'm not very flexible, I don't start from a deficit, but it requires a time investment that may or may not be worth it by my own calculations.
But all your training years and everything else kind of builds you up to have a really good foundation for strongman.
Sure.
Because, right? Because like it is just general strength. Most strongmen train like powerlifters 80% of the time.
Yeah, and I think people, to your point, Mike, naturally gravitate towards things they think they would excel at, right? Because you do want to express yourself at potentially the highest form. So it's only guess what? Like if you have long ass arms and short ass legs and you're pulling a lot of weight, you're probably going to focus on pulling a lot of weight because it makes you feel good. So strongman competitions, from what I've seen, what the lifts are, I think like what some of my strengths are. I have many weaknesses. I would do okay in it. So that's another component. But it is what I really like too. It's on any given Sunday. So it's not like, oh, I've only done these 3 movements for years and years and years. I know what I'm going to do. I have no idea. You try and prepare, but then there's that element of competition on the day of.
Yeah, I agree. Because there's not like a standardization. Although there's some world record log presses and stuff, there's no standardization. It's actually a competition because you're going head to head with whoever's there that day. Where powerlifting, you win a medal for the day, but you're actually like competing against your dots and your total, which then goes into a worldwide database. Really, if you want to be at the top level. I feel very similarly. I dabble in it, but I don't see myself competing in shit anymore. I literally get my competitive spirit out in video games. I play ranked video games, and that's like competitive enough for me nowadays.
Strongman is fun for a lot of people. That's a thing. That competing really focuses people's training. I think that competing in strongman is probably a better gauge of overall strength than competing in powerlifting is. And in the same way that athleticism is probably best gauged by CrossFit.
Yeah, I don't know. I have too many thoughts on there.
Well, just in terms of versatility of an athlete.
Yeah, I just don't think any of it tests athleticism because it's so specific to what you're doing.
Possibly. I mean, I think that the downside
Same with strength.
is the sort of the knowledge of what you're going to do ahead of time, getting to train to it. Strongman differs. Sometimes going into it exactly what you're going to do, and sometimes you don't know at all.
No, I think CrossFit is the one that's totally blind majority of the time, and strongman you'll know like 6 weeks out-ish randomly.
You know what I was going to say, Mike? One thing that I like about, I think, both of our journeys, and I keep it sacred because lifting means a lot to me, is that I've never felt pressured due to the type of content that I created to do something that I know it's like, oh, so in 2016, it's very in vogue to compete. You compete, it gets views because people want to see it, kind of like a full day of eating. And once you start mixing those two forms together, what you want to do and what will advance you socially in the social media game, things get a little muddy, and that's where your intention behind what you do can change. And so by choosing not to compete, I'm not saying I would never compete, but it affords you that idea that you would do it for yourself. It's I actually, when I hit during the pandemic, when I hit like a few PRs, I wasn't posting anything. I considered not posting them. And there was something, those PRs meant a lot to me because it was just me training on my own, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I think there's a purity of just being like an amateur enthusiast that does it because they like to do it or because it adds, to Mike's point, to other parts of your life. And I would say the final thing for myself is that the way that I frame it, that is the truth, is now like, I have financial obligations to other people, like I have a family, so on and so forth, is that not that it would be...
You don't have kids. That's what it sounded like. I thought you were making a big announcement.
No, shocking announcement. No, is that it would be almost selfish of me because the commitment necessary in order to truly compete, and like Mike understands,
got to be good.
If I wanted to compete, I would go all the way. It would necessitate an increased level of time commitment that would be selfish compared to the other responsibilities that I have. And considering, like, what can I do with my free time? Like, where am I trying to build, like, either the business or this and that? And what am I known for? I'm known for being a content creator. It's not like, oh, Omar, he's a strong guy. So it would be more for my own either personal fulfillment or something to do on social media. And either one of those I'm not deriving from right now. Yeah. But I love lifting.
I'm similar. Yeah. I just don't have the guts for it anymore. I just don't care enough.
Well, I think that social media has made a lot of people into dilettantes of particular sports that they didn't start out in.
Sure. Yeah. Bodybuilding's kind of the hot shit to compete in right now if you're a content creator. Like, everyone's stepping on stage just cuz.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I know these are supposed to be 10-minute episodes, but I think what's great about powerlifting is that powerlifting for the greater cultural sphere was new in quotations, meaning it was an underground sport, like in the 90s and the 2000s. And so there was a freshness and there's a novelty associated with that, and everyone loved to think about fashion. And so powerlifting had its moment, and I think that's a lot of modern powerlifters that will, decry. They'll say, "Oh, you know what? Powerlifting used to be more popular. What can we do or whatnot?" They just want that social media clout that it had before, but they didn't understand why it became popular in the first place because they weren't there.
Yeah.
And you have to fundamentally understand that some things they're in vogue and then they go out of vogue, and that is okay.
Yeah, I think Jim nailed it on the head, though. I think powerlifting and strongman more go in the same conversation versus weightlifting and bodybuilding because the barrier to entry to compete's very low.
Yeah.
You know, like the standardization, you just have to be able to hit the lifts enough, and then it does line up your goals in your training. So, like, it's good for a majority of folks, but obviously it's just not where the three of us are because we've been in this world and we have different things going on. But I think for the mass people, besides, the cloud chasing, I think it's a great opportunity to meet the community better, find cool people, like-minded people. It's a great way to test yourself, and it's a great way for you to kind of add some accountability to your daily training and weekly nutrition and sleep, etc.
No, I'm not here to expand.
Where can people find you then?
So it's called 50% facts. 50 is you just spell out the letters, and then percent is the percentage sign, and then facts is the word facts.
Okay.
We're back every single week, every single Friday. Join the Discord, Good Company Discord. If you want to ask your question, don't give your film opinion because we'll absolutely eviscerate you. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you're allowed to be in our Discord, but you're not allowed to have free thoughts. That's
as long as they conform. As long as they conform with ours.
No, it's definitely not a democracy in there. I'm a fucking emperor.
That's most democracies though. People think that we have a fifth estate, like just in general. Forget here, I'm talking all over. But things are like carefully curated.
Oh yeah. I'm the puppet master.
Political dissidents. People act like we don't have political dissidents that we're jailed. Like, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, new episode Wednesday, Friday, goodcompanydiscord.com. I'll see you there. 3sb.co for all your clothing needs. Bunch of fresh tees with the Game Day boys if you want to snag those real quick. Get them while they're hot because they won't be there much longer. And I am Sound Mike, where you want to find me.
I am at the Jim McD on all the social media. The show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. 50% facts is a Spreaker Prime podcast in association with iHeartMedia on the Obscure Celebrity Network. And we'll talk to you next week.
We don't have our Ranger outfit.